We were talking about ubudiyat, being a servant of Allah. In these maybe 14 nights, 13, 14 nights, we first talked about the opposite of ubudiyat, or being a servant, which was being a arrogant rejecter, an opponent of Allah, like shaitan. Then we talked about being an abd, what it meant. Then we talked about the nafs, how this is the core of a person that wants to be a slave of Allah. They have to develop their nafs, they have to control their nafs, control their desires. Then after we talked about dua and istighfar, how it's important, this is what an abd does. We talked about how Allah has developed this sense of ubudiyat in us, and one of the hikmats and wisdoms of heaven, hell, of bala, of calamities, of not knowing if your actions are accepted or not. This is to the fact that Allah wants to develop and make us a greater abd or servant of Allah. Then we talked about family issues, and we said that one of the best ways for a person to condition their nafs and to become a great slave of Allah is in the family, that they can produce children, that they can control their nafs, they can control their desires and egos. And through marriage, a person will be able to be a great servant of Allah. All of this had inshallah, a sequence, and now it comes to one of the biggest manifestations of ubudiyat. And that is when a slave, a servant, sees a direct divine guide from Allah, an infallible Imam. That is when that person becomes and shows that they are a slave. When a person came to see Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and being a servant of Allah meant that he obeyed the Prophet. After the Prophet, Imam Ali and the different Imams. And now our time period is to follow our Imam, Imam al-Zaman, salamullah alayhi. And this is the greatest manifestation of ubudiyat, because he is the greatest sign of Allah when he reappears. When he reappears, and the world will see his revolution, his uprising. And the worst thing a person can do is not follow or reject or oppose him. That will be one of the worst sins. It is in some of our books of fiqh that one of the worst sins is opposing an infallible Imam. Those that oppose Imam Ali, those that might oppose the 12th Imam, this is an unforgivable sin, unless there's certain maybe circumstances, but this is an unforgivable sin. And this is the manifestation of ubudiyat in us, that Allah wants us to submit to the Imams, also submit to their teachings and learn from their teachings. And this is how we can know if we are a slave of Allah or not. Being a servant of the 12th Imam, being a slave, being a servant, not a slave, but being a servant and being a helper of the 12th Imam. This is from the narrations. It says in the time of occultation, if a person, in this famous narration that I'm sure you have heard to Abu Khalid, that if a person during the time of the 12th Imam believes in Imam Zaman, and he is one of those that believes in the Imamat, during the time of the occultation of the 12th Imam, he is القائلين بإمامته والمنتظرين لظهوره, and is waiting for the reappearance of the 12th Imam. أفضل من أهل كل زمان, he is better than any time period, any of the companions of the other prophets or Imams. In this narration that the Imam said to Abu Khalid, this is the fadilat of a person that is waiting for the 12th Imam. In other narrations we have the same thing. If a person truly waits, is patient, and waits and prepares for the uprising of the 12th Imam, he is higher than the companions of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, companions of the other Imams. So this is a great opportunity for us, is a great test, the occultation of the 12th Imam. And that while we are waiting, and waiting is one of the greatest actions, we are also preparing. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're waiting, like looking at our clock and waiting when he'll reappear, is actively participating and helping and understanding that the time of occultation is a pain for us and the Shia, and it is a pain for the 12th Imam. The 12th Imam is estranged. And that the more we do dua for him, Ayatollah Khu'i, they say, somebody went 12 years, 15 years. He said, he noticed, what dua did Ayatollah Khu'i do in his qunut? It says, dua faraj. Every time he did dua salat, they say he did dua faraj. Why? To remember the Imam. And because we haven't felt how it feels like, because we don't realize, because we've been born in the occultation of the 12th Imam, and inshallah we won't die in the occultation. But because we've become accustomed to it, it's like a pain that you're used to now. And we don't know that if the Imam, we don't realize that if he doesn't reappear during our life, our lives will be wasted. Because Allah has designed this world, this universe, for us to have a present guide, an infallible guide to guide us. And that if he doesn't reappear, our life is wasted. Imagine yourselves, my brothers, my sisters, inshallah, this is one of the dreams we have. One of the ulama said, if the 12th Imam reappears, I will die. He said, how? He said, from happiness. I will die from happiness. So imagine the 12th Imam reappears. And I'm lower to even mention his name. I thank Allah just for being able to say Mahdi. I don't say that I know him or have true understanding of him. I just thank Allah that He allows me to give His beautiful and holy name. When the Imam, imagine he's present, how much would you learn? How much would you do tazkiyah and refine yourself? How great would he teach you and show you the ways directly? As the students of Imam as-Sadiq, how did they progress? The students of Imam Ali alayhi salam, the students of the Prophet of Islam. So we notice that if we are deprived right now, we're very deeply deprived of this guidance, and it is the most important duties of the followers of the Ahlul Bayt to do something that the Imam will reappear. This is the most important duties. And that is why maybe I have saved this speech for the last, is because this is the entire philosophy behind speaking, is that maybe we can do something. Maybe the Imam at least says that he's trying. He's trying to do something that people will wake up, people will refine themselves, people will be a true abd, a servant of Allah, and it will help his reappearance, not hurt and make his reappearance later. I will mention to you Shaykh Muhammad Kufi later on, but just to tell you this story, Shaykh Muhammad Kufi was somebody that during the time of Ayatollah Khu'i, this great scholar, and many other scholars saw this. He was one of those that was famous for meeting the 12th Imam, Shaykh Muhammad Kufi. One of our ulama today that is alive, I don't want to mention his name, I know who it is, because my teacher went to him and asked him about this story, and he said this story is true. It was during the nights of Ramadan, you know, the 13th, the 14th, and 15th is also, you can do i'tikaf. You can stay in the masjid. I believe it's Masjid al-Kufa or Masjid al-Sahla, I don't know. But he stayed, this great alim that is present right now, he's old, but he stayed in Masjid al-Kufa. And Shaykh Muhammad al-Kufi came to him. The person that is known that had these tasharrufats, had met the 12th Imam, comes to him and tells this alim, he tells him that right now is not the time of dua, or if the time of, so right now is not the time of i'tikaf, of staying in the masjid. Right now is the time of tabligh, is the time of propagation. This great marja. So then he left. And he also was one of those that went on the mimbars and spoke and promoted the cause of the 12th Imam. So to learn this story, and this happened in our life, this is a person that lived in our life, from a reliable source, that the Imam Zaman gave a message. It says, right now is not the time to just pray and just think of yourself and refine yourself, which is very important. Right now is the time to prepare people, to prepare them and have them remember the 12th Imam. And this is our most important duty, ourselves and together. It's not that I just prepare myself. As we said in the family discussion, it's not that I have taqwa, it's my family has taqwa. That's what the Quran says. It's not that we as one person become a supporter of the 12th Imam, it's as a group. It is group work. As the followers of the Ahlul Bayt, they have to rise together. They have to help each other out. So this is the most important duty that we have to us. And tonight I want to talk a little bit about how we can increase our love and increase our understanding for the 12th Imam, Salamullah alayhi. Please give a salawat. One of the ayahs of Quran that talks about, addresses the reappearance of the 12th Imam. And I'm sure we've read it in Surah chapter 24, ayah 55. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وعد الله الذين آمنوا منكم وعملوا الصالحات ليستخلفنهم في الأرض كما استخلف الذين من قبلهم. Allah has promised those who have believed among you and done righteous deeds that He will surely grant them succession to authority upon the earth, just as He has granted to them, to those before Him. He has promised the succession and authority will be to the infallible, to the divine guides, just how Allah has given it to those before. It would go to Imam al-Zaman, salamullah alayhi. He has promised. In this verse of Quran, after He mentions this, the ayah continues, يَعْبُدُونَنِي La yashrukun. Worship me, submit to me, worship me, be an abd, and don't associate anything. This ayah of Quran talks about the revolution, the uprising of Imam al-Zaman, then at the end it talks about ubudiyat. So this entire movement, all of it, the uprising, the government of Imam al-Zaman will be for one thing. That is so that we can be an abd, we can be a servant of Allah. Understanding the cause of the 12th Imam is very important. Sometimes we think it's only going to be for justice, which is part of it. It's only going to be for equality, which will be part of it. The entire purpose is so that we can be a slave of Allah and that we can reach closeness and reach our perfection. This is the illataqai, or the final goal in the creation of man. And that will be the final goal of the 12th Imam. There have been people that used to do dua for the faraj. This narration is from one of the infallibles for Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, that he says, Matal faraj. He has, one is the faraj of the 12th Imam. And this Imam Sadiq says, Ya Aba Basir, wa anta mimman yuridu dunya. You're of those that want the dunya. Why do you want the faraj? Some people, they want this relief for themselves, for different reasons. It's very important to align yourself with the goal, the final goal of the 12th Imam, which is ubudiyat, which is to create a society where it's much easier, people will be guided and they can finally be a slave. They will know Allah and submit to Him. So this is one of the causes of the 12th Imam. And we ask, what can we do to increase our understanding and increase our love of the 12th Imam? One of those things and characteristics of the 12th Imam, just how the infallibles before him had it, is that he is very kind. We said that Imam Ali, just how he is great, his greatness is one of his greatest attributes. Just as he's great, he's kind. Just as he's kind, he's oppressed. Kindness and mercy of the Imams is something that you cannot even come to even truly wonder how great their mercy is. In this narration about Imam Ali alayhi salam, he had a servant, just to say how merciful Imam Ali is. And he told his servant, he called him many times. The narration says, دعا أمير المؤمنين غلاما له مرارا فلم يجبه فخرج فوجده على الباب البيت. He called his servants, where are you? He called them, and he saw that his servant is at the door. He came to him and says, why don't you answer? I've been calling you. فقال ما حملك إلى ترك إجابتي قال كسلت. I was tired. The servant said, I was tired. I didn't want to answer. كسلت عن إجابتك. I'm tired of answering. I didn't feel like answering. Imagine today in today's work, if the boss calls his employee and says, hey, no, I didn't feel like answering. It's okay if you're fired. وَأَمِنْتُ عُقُوبَتَكَ. And I knew that you wouldn't punish me. Because Imam Mahdi was so kind. He says, I knew you wouldn't punish me. I knew that I was tired and I didn't want to answer you. I mean, this person is not doing something good. It's not something good. This is the infallible Imam. I'm trying to show the mercy of Imam Mahdi. Imam Mahdi says this. It's a person who says, I don't want to answer you. I'm tired of answering you. I'm tired. I knew you wouldn't punish me. What would be our answer? Maybe get up, stand, we'd yell at them. Masalan, what are you doing? Alhamdulillah, alladhi ja'alani mimman ya'manuhu khalqu. He prayed to Allah, Imam Mahdi. He says, oh Allah, thank you for making me of those that the creation is safe from me. The creation doesn't fear me. Amdi fa'anta hurran lewajhi Allah. Go, you're free. You are free, now go. This was the rahmat and mercy of the Imams, that the way they treated society. First of all, they were always looking of an excuse to free somebody because they were against that concept. Second of all, if somebody did not listen to them, if someone did not follow their commands, in this case, he was kind and says, go, you're free. So this is the inheritance that Imam Mahdi brings from us. When Imam Mahdi calls us and we're like that servant that says, I'm tired, I don't want to do this, I'm tired, I don't want to do this dua anymore, I'm tired. And we have that same mentality, but we know that the 12th Imam has rahmat and mercy. This causes us to love him more. We know that he's ultimately kind. Another component that increases our love for the 12th Imam is that we know that the 12th Imam is informed about us. He is informed. He knows about us. He knows where we are. And we said the narrations before, how you benefit from the sun behind the clouds. We are benefiting from the 12th Imam, and he has given us rizq, barakat, and we don't even know. In this narration, it says that فَإِنَّا نُحِيطٌ عِلْمًا بِأَنْبَاءَكُمْ. We have ihata, we have control, or we have true understanding of your events. We know exactly what is happening to you. وَلَا يَعْزَبُ عَنَّا شَيْءٌ مِّنْ أَخْبَارِكُمْ. From your akhbar, what's happening, nothing's taken or blocked from us. We know exactly where you are going. And this brings for us this love that we know that the 12th Imam, our akhbar, didn't we say Surah Al-Qadr is for the 12th Imam? It was the surah of the Prophet, then it became the surah of Imam Ali, now it's the surah of the 12th Imam, and the malaika tanazzul with the events, they come to the heart of the 12th Imam. Also the events, that what is happening while we're here, we know that we're not alone. We know that He will help us. If He didn't help us, we would be ruined, but we don't realize. The ghaybat of the 12th Imam, the occultation is something that is from our sights, but not from our hearts. Many people, those that have refined themselves, have this connection with Imam Mahdi. And I'm sure you brothers and sisters have seen spiritually this connection you have with Imam Mahdi. The more you refine yourself, the more you become a greater abd, the more you will connect with Imam Mahdi. It's not as if he is, in some of the narrations it says that we are blocked from the Imam, not that he is blocked from us. We are blocking ourselves. Some of the ulama say that you can connect with him. Why can't you connect with him? Either in dreams, or how I mentioned in the story of Sheikh Muhammad al-Kufi, different ways he will send you his signs. True, we don't have a direct representative. That was in the minor occultation. There was a specific representative, and everybody knew that the Imam would contact him and they would ask their questions through him. That was called Naib Khas. We don't have a Naib Khas that this person, whatever he says is Imam Mahdi is saying. We have Nawab Am, our Fuqaha, that they are giving the ahkam, the laws from the Ahlul Bayt. But our connection from the 12th Imam that we have is something that we develop ourselves, and the more we're purified, the more we begin to understand him, understand his movement, the more that we will begin to love him and our du'as will be answered, the more we understand him. Then this other narration, it says, Inna ghayru muhmilin, he says, alayhi salam, Inna ghayru muhmilin limura'atikum. We don't neglect taking care of you, watching over you. That sister in Islam at the age of 17 that was hurt, and some of these events, it hurts us, or that maybe some people, they get worried a little bit. What's going to happen? They attack, a young girl. Well, look at these narrations. Inna ghayru muhmilin limura'atikum. Imam Mahdi is watching us. Wala na'asina lidhikrikum. We don't forget you. We will not forget you. وَلَوْلَا ذَلِكَ أَنزَلَ بِكُمْ الدَّاءَ وَظَلَمَكُمْ عَلَى أَدَاءَ. And if this was true, calamity would happen for you. If this was true, your enemies would have conquered you, would have overpowered you. We are giving you power. We are helping the followers of the Ahlul Bayt. Imam al-Zaman in this narration is saying, he's promising that he is watching over us. Sometimes, yes, there might be events in the news that when we look at it, we get worried. But look at these narrations and understand that the 12th Imam is saying that he is watching us. I told you about that when Ayatul Bahjat. One of the things he said about Imam Rida alayhi salam, he said that Imam Rida told him that the Ahlul Bayt, it is impossible for you to ask something from us and not to give it to you. There's these promises, and we have to have this outlook. A follower of the 12th Imam, and the occultation is a strong person, is a person that knows, is as we have a shepherd, we have a father, we are the yatim of Ala Muhammad. He is watching over us. When these events happen, we don't let it, we know that these events will happen. If it doesn't happen, we should be surprised. Because this is the religion of Allah. There will be times of difficulty. It's like one of the great scholars said, it is like when you go up a mountain and you're going towards, and you're elevating yourself. There's going to be problems on the way. You might slip a little bit. There might be issues with some of the rocks. There might be issues with thirst. But you know that you're slowly climbing towards your goal. These events that happen, we know that they will happen. If they don't happen, we should be surprised. Because the religion of Islam has enemies. So what do? We read these narrations and we come to certainty that the Imam Zaman is protecting us. And if it says, he himself in this narration says, if he doesn't protect us, we would be destroyed. We would truly be destroyed. We're benefiting him just like the sun behind the clouds. And this is something that somebody develops in themselves. The more they say, Ya Mahdi adrikni, Ya Mahdi adrikni, Ya Mahdi adrikna, O Mahdi, save me. The more they develop this relationship and they see the karamat of Imam Mahdi, then they become like a rock. Don't they say that the companions of the 12th Imam, they will be able to move rocks, they will be able to move mountains? When you attach yourself to the person that will one day uprise and inshallah will establish a world order, a justice for the world, you attach yourself to him, you will get power from him. One of their great urafa by the name of Ayatollah Kashmiri, you know the name of Isma A'adham, the name that they say if you call, if you know it, this name will answer any prayers that you have. And people are wondering, what is the Isma A'adham? Is it in Joshan al-Kabir? Some say maybe it might be a state, it's not a name. But he says this, he says, the Isma A'adham, he says, this great Arif, says the Isma A'adham is Ya Mahdi. Ya Mahdi adrikni is the Isma A'adham. If you want your du'as to be heard, you want to be protected, say Ya Mahdi and develop this in your heart. During the time of occultation is when you develop it. So when he arises, inshallah, and you do du'a'at every day, when you do du'a'at, that you arise from the grave and you come with your sword and you come with your kafan, you're already developed, you're ready to help. These are our duties during the time of the 12th Imam, and don't allow these events, the sisters, when they hear these events, don't be scared. The 12th Imam will protect us, and if these events didn't happen, we should be surprised. We should keep continuing our path, this hike towards Allah, and not let go, not let anything hold us back. Please recite a salawat. They say in Basra there was this person that sold either say soap or sold different spices, and he told the city, everybody knew that he loved the 12th Imam. This is in the book Darus Salam. And he proclaimed that he loved the 12th Imam dearly. Some people came to him to buy things from him, and he noticed they're not from Basra, so he asked them, where are you from? They wouldn't answer. He kept asking him, insisting, where are you from? Where are you guys from? These two people. Maybe they had something special about them. They wouldn't answer until he told them. He said that we are at the service of the 12th Imam. We're at the service of Imam Mahdi. And then he loved the 12th Imam. He said, allow me to meet him. If you're at the service of him, allow me to meet him. This is in the book Darus Salam. And then they refused again until he begged. He fell on their feet and hands. He says, let me see the 12th Imam. I want to see the 12th Imam. I want to see Imam Mahdi. He said, okay, come with us. Let's see. So he begins to follow them. And slowly, they're going on this journey. And while they're going on this journey, they tell him this. They say that this area right here, you have to concentrate, you have to pass. You do this dua, for example, and you pass through the water. Follow us. And he did. And he was following, he was walking on water just like them, until he looked at the clouds and saw, oh, there's a storm coming. All my spices and all my things, it's going to be destroyed. What's going to happen? He was right when he thought about this, he fell in the water. He fell in the water. Then they took him out, they helped him out, and they went and reached where the 12th Imam is. There they asked permission. They said to the infallible Imam, they said, can this person come in? He wants to meet you. Can he come in? There in this story it says that the Imam says, Radduhu, don't allow him to come in. فَإِنَّهُ رَجُلٌ صَابُونِي. He is a soap seller. He is thinking about soap. Don't allow him to come in. Sometimes these attachments that we have, not only our sins, but just these thoughts, that the true companions of the 12th Imam, and I'm not saying I am a companion, I'm somebody that I am working on myself, they don't have any attachments besides the 12th Imam. If the 12th Imam said to give up everything for the Ahlul Bayt, 1 second, less than a second, they would give it up. Their family, their kids, their father, their money, their honor, themselves. They don't have any attachments whatsoever. So this hijab that we see, this thing that blocks us from the 12th Imam, is from ourselves, not him. He is present. We are hidden spiritually. So this is something that we develop, and the more we understand the 12th Imam, the more that we come to understand him and love him, the more we talk to him. Ayatollah Milani used to say that it's incumbent upon a Shia, a follower of the Ahlul Bayt, to talk with their Imam for 5 minutes, a few minutes a day, to talk to him, to talk to the 12th Imam. This is what our ulama had did, and I said Ayatollah Khouy would read the Dua Faraj in his Qunut. Please recite a salawat. I'll tell you this story, and then maybe if there's anything else. I mentioned the story also of Sheikh Muhammad Kufi, and we said that he came to one of the ulama, and he has an interesting tasharruf. In Najm al-Thaqib, there's different of these tasharrufs, those that have met the Imam in the quotation, and it's mentioned from the, say, I mentioned one of the stories of the father of Allama Majlisi in Bihar al-Anwar, the father, not in Bihar al-Anwar, the father of Allama Majlisi. There's stories of Sayyid Mahdi Bahr al-Ulum, different ulama that have been recorded to meet the 12th Imam. One of those that this story that I hear is very kind of famous because we heard it in the Hawza from our teacher, and they heard it from Ayatollah, their teacher from Ayatollah Khoi. There's a chain in this story that I'm going to give you. They say Sheikh Muhammad al-Kufi, that person that I said was very famous meeting the 12th Imam. They say that once he was the 21st or the 23rd of the month of Ramadan. It's interesting, both these stories I told you about this marriage and this person were in the month of Ramadan. It's the 21st or 23rd. He said, I went to Masjid al-Kufa to do dua and it's going to be one of the nights of Qadr. I said, what a great place for me to do ibadah to the morning. Let me go to Masjid al-Kufa and do dua. I have a little bit doubt it might be Masjid al-Sahla, but I think it's Masjid al-Kufa. There he said, I'm very tired, it's the beginning of the night, let me rest a little bit. When I rest a little bit, I'm going to wake up and do dua all the way to Shahr, the amal of Laylatul Qadr. He said he fell asleep, and then when he woke up, he saw that the sun was basically out, the sun was almost rising. Not only did Laylatul Qadr and all the amal, he forgot all the amal, the sun was rising and his Salatul Fajr is going to become Qada. So he rushed, and then he saw one person in the masjid laying down, and he saw two people next to him, taking care of him, being next to him. While he was going, he asked, who is this person? And they said, this is the alam. This is the alam. He said, but these guys, they don't know how to speak. They mean alam. He is the alam. He is the scholar. He said, no. He is the alam. He is the world. So then he says, okay. And then he's sitting down, and then they offer him. They said, here, get some, have this. He said, can I get some water? He wanted to do wudu and do a salat. And they started to eat. And he's like, it's the month of Ramadan. These people are eating. It is the month of Ramadan. And then they say to this person that's laying down, they say, can Sheikh Muhammad Kufi join us? Can Sheikh Muhammad Kufi join us, be one of us? And there they say, this story I'm telling you, Sheikh Muhammad Kufi himself told Ayatollah Khoi in front of a lot of the ulama, and heard it from his student Ayatollah Tabrizi to my teacher, and I'm telling you. Then they asked Sheikh Muhammad Kufi, says, basically this, that can we follow you, or they ask, can he be with us? And the person says this, he says that he has to be tested. He has to be tested to be with us. So then Sheikh Muhammad Kufi didn't know who it was. He stood up and went in to do his wudu. He says, is it okay? Let me do my wudu and salat. When he left a little bit, it was nighttime again. It was nighttime, and he noticed this was a meeting that he had with the 12th Imam. That person, they said, alam was correct, that this was the world. They asked the Sheikh Muhammad Kufi, they said, how about your tests? And he was very upset. He says, I did not pass. I did not pass my tests. So for someone to be a true follower of the 12th Imam, there are going to be tests and tribulations. Maybe what you hear sometimes on the news, there's going to be harassments, there's going to be people that will bother us. But it's important to give all this away. What is the purpose that we're here? To be a slave of Allah. And being a servant of Allah, the best way is to be a servant of the 12th Imam, which is a divine guide for Allah, from Allah. So that we can, inshallah, be one of the soldiers of Imam Mahdi. Please give a salawat. can dim the lights a little bit tonight. We're going to say some salams to Imam Hussein. You've heard in Ziyad Nahiya that the Imam said, if it's day and night we cry for you, Imam Hussein, that if instead of tears we will cry so much, Allah will place it with tears of blood if our tears run out. This is the importance of crying for Imam Hussein, for those that want to connect to the 12th Imam and the movement of the 12th Imam. It will be the movement of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It will be a Karbala'i movement. When we look at Ziyar Nahiya, there's some parts we would like to say salam, inshallah. And the ziyarat of Imam Hussein is something recommended in the beginning, in the middle of the month of Ramadan and the end of the month of Ramadan. Imam Hussein is part of the month of Ramadan. As-salamu ala man dafanahu ahl al-qura. Peace be upon him who the strangers, the people of the village buried. The noble Imam that was buried in Ziyad Nahiya, I'm reading. The ahl al-qura, the villagers, came to bury him. As-salamu ala al-maqtu' al-wateen. Peace upon our master, the Imam whose veins were severed, whose order was severed. As-salamu ala al-muhami bila mu'een. Salam on you, Imam Hussein, that you are the defender that had no helper. You asked for help many times on the day of Karbala, but nobody answered. They say one of those istinsars that he did, one of those helps, they say that is when Ali Asghar cried. This child that is 6 months old is saying, I will help you, my father. I'm 6 months old, but I'm with you, Hussein. As-salamu ala shayb al-khadib. Peace and blessings upon the beard that was, the gray hairs that were dyed in blood. As-salamu ala al-khatt al-tarib. Peace be upon the cheek that struck the dust after he fell off his horse, Imam Hussein. His cheek hit the dust. As-salamu ala al-badan al-salib. As-salamu ala al-thaqr al-maqru' bil-qadib. As-salamu ala al-ra's al-marfu'. Peace and blessings upon the head that was on the spear. They say that Zainab salamullah alayha, when she was in Kufa, she began to give a speech, and those, they say, it was like a lion that was speaking. It was Amir al-Mu'mineen that was speaking. She began to speak like a lion, with all the tribulations, with all the children around her, with all the taking care of the children that she had to do. But her father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, they say, her father told her that Zainab, this would happen. Exactly what would happen. She was told before, she's a alama ghayra mu'allama. She is a scholar that was not taught. She had divine knowledge. But there they bring the head of Imam Hussein to make her silent. They bring the head of Imam Hussein on a lance, on a spear, and there it said that she said, they told me, Hussein, everything would happen to you, but they didn't tell me that I had to see your head on a spear. I had to witness your head being on the lance. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Ya Allah, we ask you the honor of Sayyid Zainab, the honor of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Make our master, our Mawlana, Imam al-Zaman reappear, inshallah. Ya Allah, accept our actions in this month of Ramadan, inshallah. Accept our du'as because of the 12th Imam, inshallah. Accept our salat because of the 12th Imam, inshallah. Accept our fasts because of the 12th Imam, inshallah. Those that are sick and need our du'as, help them because of the 12th Imam, inshallah. Those that are in poverty, those that need our du'as, those that are in countries that are war-torn, that need our du'as, relieve their pains and afflictions on behalf of the 12th Imam, inshallah. Those of our family members that have passed away, those that are our friends that have passed away, our grandparents, inshallah, forgive them because of Imam Zaman, inshallah. Ya Allah, we ask you to make us during the time of the ghaibat of the 12th Imam, make us of those that actively participate in the reappearance of the 12th Imam. Ya Allah, if our death comes earlier to us, make us of those that you arise from the graves with our sword on our hand and our kafan for us, and that we will aid the 12th Imam, inshallah. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ahli bayti at-tayyibin at-tahirin.